It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay By Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City C opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
What is the vision for the Vendors Arcade? To provide a world-class shopping environment where local goods and services can be provided and experienced by locals and visitors. Why is this redevelopment necessary? The renovations and expansions will revitalize the infrastructure and enhance the shopping experience for vendors, locals, and visitors. Who will be responsible for the Vendors Arcade? The arcade will continue to be operated and managed by the Castries Constituency Council, who will have full responsibility for the rental and maintenance of the space. How will construction of the Vendors Arcade be managed? A phased approach will be employed to minimize disruption to daily operations. After the completion of each phase, vendors will be relocated from the former arcade, and this will continue until completion of the new facility. St. Lucia Cruise Port, investing in people.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man, the voice.
Welcome once again to The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, your host and producer, alongside my co-host for today, Miguel Evelyn Favrier, who's sitting in a place normally occupied by Terry Fenelon, who, as we know already, is unavailable to us on Fridays because he does another talk show elsewhere. Miguel, good afternoon and welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure when you can make the time. Our technical operator, as most of the time, is Alton Jaquan Joseph. Thank you very much for being here, Jaquan, and continue the great work that you're doing on the evenings as the anchor of NBC Prime. It is the 15th day of the month of August. You know I'm getting better these days, don't you? Yeah, you know. What's it? I'm drinking, what do they call it? Ginkgo biloba or something like that, or just plain blue waters, all right? Really shoes powered by blue waters. Maybe just blue waters, you know, sip of it before the program and so on gets me now not forgetting the date. Yeah, it is the 15th day of the month of August 2025, so we're practically at mid-month already. And I hope you're having a good day and that you've had a good week so far, our final program for the week. This program is weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on various platforms. The radio station, Real FM, that serves you on two frequencies, 91.3 for the north and 91.5 for the south. We simulcast on our sister station, NBC Television, channel 120 on the Flow Cable TV service. We are also on Facebook Live and YouTube live streaming. Before I forget, because 2 days I've forgotten already, I'm sure this man Skinny must be scowling and frowning at the mere mention of my name, because he did call me 2 days ago and asked me to send out birthday greetings to a lady who's been very nice to me. Anytime, you know, I place an order, Skinny tell me, just go down and check Kiana, and she'll take care of you. I've already spoken to her. So I really...
never give me that information.
About Kiana?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what have I done?
I'll deal with him.
I'll have to race to town, you know, race to town so that I get there before. So, you know, anyway, Skinny ain't opening so early. So I'll have time to catch up and go and block, you know, I have to block. Yeah, he always tells me go to Kiana, and, you know, Wednesday was her birthday. Kiana, I'm so very sorry. I hope that you will accept my apology and forgive me, and also accept the belated birthday greetings to you. And I wish you the very best in terms of my good wishes for many, many more in good health and everything else that we consider to be success and prosperity. You're a nice person, you're a good person, and so are all the staff who work for Skinny. I think it's a reflection of the training and the coaching and the standards that are set for them by Skinny and his partner Jennifer. So continue the good work you are doing, and normally there's just so much fried chicken all about the place. I don't really care too much of it, but I don't know, for some reason I eat Skinny's chicken and I come out feeling good. Mm-hmm. There was an occasion where I had some stomach disturbance or whatever, you know, something was, and I don't know, and I decided to go down and have some of Skinny's chicken. And no joke, I actually told Skinny and Jennifer that I ate the chicken. I'm not prescribing, or I'm not recommending or suggesting chicken as medicine. Maybe you may have a condition or some situation where fried foods and so on is the last thing you should think of. But I went and I ate it, and I felt fine. I felt good. I felt okay. Normally when I eat salty things or things that are a little too salty, I don't feel too good afterwards. So I've got to watch my, you know, like most West Indian, Caribbean people, they like a good salt meat where there's a salt big deal or something like that. I got to watch my salt. I suffer with high blood pressure, by the way. I had it for many, many years, so I have to watch. But I ate Skinner's chicken, and I don't feel any little of those changes that tell me, hey, dude, I think you overdid it. I think maybe they watch out for my portion size for me. They don't ever pack the plate that it can hardly close and so on. And I tried it a couple more occasions, and I said, hey, there's something about the way they do their chicken, whatever it is, but it goes with me. So, Kiana, thank you so very much for the kind and very courteous service that you always show me and give to me, just like Jennifer and all the other people at the corner of Jeremy and Pena Streets, that is, right? Mm-hmm. They always do. Jeremy and Pena. Yeah, you know, folks, you great stuff that you're into. A happy birthday to you, Kiana. All right, another person that I want to wish a special happy birthday to is my friend for a very long time, a minister in the current cabinet, Honorable Joachim Henry. It's my understanding that today is his birthday.
Also, that will mean it's also the birthday of my friend, another Joachim.
Oh, really?
Apparently, I think today has a special, I can't remember, I think it was explained to me. Maybe I'll look it up while we're on the break. Mm-hmm. But Joachim Duplessis at HTS, my colleague who I worked with, JD. Right. Okay, today's JD's birthday as well. They share the same birthday.
All right, okay. So I'm going to wish the minister, Honorable Joachim Henry, Minister for Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment, and also elected Member of Parliament for the constituency of Castries South, a very happy birthday to you, Mr. Minister, and I wish you the same that I've wished to others. Long life, good health, happiness, prosperity, success, peace, all those good things. And Miguel, you say what your wish is for Joachim du Plessis. I don't think I've ever met him or that I know who I was meeting, but I have to say he's one of the crop of media people and so on, based on his reports. It was always impressed me.
And it's funny enough, Joachim, of course, big up JD, good afternoon to you, a Sumerian like myself.
All right.
But JD was not actually a reporter. JD was a cameraman and an editor, video editor, but because of, I've always said, when I was there, I always said to him, JD, you have that voice. Just like Jaquan, you have that voice. And Shane. In fact, NBC has a wealth of talent inside here, DJ Ecstasy. But I said, JD, you need to read. And obviously, due to short, it happens with a lot of media houses. When you have when you're short-staffed in particular on the reporting side, you sometimes get the editors, the video editors, and other staff to fill in by reading the reports, not necessarily writing them. And JD is one of those. You listen to him and you think that he's actually one of those reporters going out there, but he actually just reads the stories, and he's done an excellent job at it. But JD is all in all a very wonderful individual. Doesn't like a fuss. He doesn't fuss about anything you ask him to do, you ask of him, he's like, okay, no problem. So sending much love out to you, JD, and your wife and kids.
All right.
And brother Joachim Henry, of course.
Okay, thank you so very much for that, Miguel. Today is Friday.
Cornelia said tomorrow is Joachim's birthday, so 16th, she said tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, all right,
so all right. 16th or whatever, there's no work tomorrow.
No, we won't have any program tomorrow. So I wish one person belated birthday greetings, so I have to wish another one advanced birthday greetings. And tomorrow is Honorable Joachim Henry's Sabbath. You never know, he may not be taking birthday wishes on his Sabbath. He may be resting from all those things. So today might be... I'm
celebrate when the sun goes down.
I'm just kidding about that. Happy birthday, Honorable Joachim Henry. Just the same. We're within the zone already. They came to be evening and they came to be morning, a Saturday. All right, people. There's a bit of a mistake that I think we sometimes make, and we can get suckered into very easily. The feeling of it's along the same lines of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and it's not necessarily so. You see, there are people who are very good at being creeps and good at being scumbags. They're very good at it. And they can use their creepiness and their scumbaggery in a manner that can counter effectively and overwhelm and negate and be an effective antidote against all your intelligence, all your degrees, and all your, what we consider the normal superior levels that you have attained in your faculties over them. And sometimes
I know a guy like that.
And sometimes they know that. They know that you are brighter than them on paper. They know that you are more educated than them on paper. They know that the only chance they have against you is trickery and cunning and being sly, and if they happen to find themselves, say, in fisticuffs, an actual fist fight with you, that you're probably a far better fist fighter or boxer than them. The only hope they have is to low blow you, to sucker punch you. And you may feel all your confidence of all your stance and all your, your technical superiority, and they know how to sucker punch you. And I want to ask you, my people, and you know which people I'm talking about, be very careful that the people that you rightly assess and evaluate and appraise as being not your equal, as being inferior to you, that they're not superior to you in dirty tricks. Be very careful of this thing about because somebody puts up some public spat that they have with someone of their own side, as Terry Fendello likes to say, that automatically means that you can work with them. Sometimes it's all a ruse. Sometimes it's all, a wall you can jouer, which is the part of a role, of course. You can faire wall, you only play whiz, you only play vis. You have to be very careful with this sort of thing, that just because somebody speaks against Alan Chasney, or they seem to be vexed with Alan Chasney, or they seem to have an annoyance with Alan Chasney, that all of a sudden that person, you're rushing to embrace them and you want to believe that they're your friend. And sometimes, if not most times, you could well be stumbling and blundering into a trap. you could well be walking right into a trick that has been well planned and well coordinated. Don't take chances with people. Don't run behind people. Don't huff people. You know, in politics, which a friend of mine reminded us that it is one on the day. 10 votes can be all the difference. My goodness, even 1 vote can make all the difference.
We've seen
2
it.
is even better.
We've seen it in recent history.
Exactly. So don't go and chase people. I see 2 sides to this thing, that sometimes we go too hard at certain people. At certain times, the timing is all bad. And at other times, we rush to believe people are our friend, and we embrace them, and we bring them into our company, and we discuss things with them around that we were not supposed to be discussing, that you should be guarded, even with our own family, our own household, our own, you know what I'm talking about? You know, be very careful, be circumspect in those things. For example, I've been at pains to tell a friend of mine, look, my friend, if you really are somebody who is politically shrewd and politically smart, I'm not saying let him off the hook. I'm not saying don't criticize him. I'm not saying don't take him to task for any magie that he says or does. But at this particular time, and Miguel will appreciate that I'm saying this now because he's got something lined up. At this time when it seems like Titus Previll is trying to be his own man, you know, and to stand up and to say, look, my assessment of Philip J. Pierre is that he's very measured. Alan Chasney is more on the spontaneous side. You know, I don't know if he actually used the word reckless. But the word reckless has been applied to Alan Chasney before. Now, I'm not saying because of that you have to go all soft on Titus.
And synonyms, impetuous as being one of them as well.
Exactly. I'm not saying to be soft on Titus, but is that the time you want to be going down on Titus like a ton of bricks, you know? Like, you know, you really ripping into him. Is that the time? Is that a shrewdness in the politics? Not that I'm saying you will win Titus over, or Titus will leave Flambeau and come and join you, because that's not what I'm saying. It may happen, but you don't play to that expectation. But is that the time that you want to be saying certain things that border on being insulting and denigrating? You know, sometimes there is a chance to win people over, you know. But if you see you going at them in a manner that tells them that they're not good enough for you, that they're absolutely crap, that they are worthless, that they're useless, you know what you might well be doing? You might be driving them deeper into the arms and the embrace of the very person it would be in your interest to dislodge them from. You know, you might just be doing that. You know, like I've said, you go telling people who are supporting the other side how ignorant they are, and how illiterate they are, and how unlearned they are, and how we are bright and you are stupid and ignorant, and how you could be supporting this person. You know, that's not the kind of thing that will get them to reconsider and say, wow, Shelton is a guy. After Shelton just insult you and make you feel bad and make you feel small and make you feel worthless, your candidate that has been said to be ignorant like you all, and you ignorant for following him, what you can cause is an even tighter huddle. They will huddle together even more, because after all, we ignorant. You go and make people feel small and humiliate them about the poor food they eat in the manger Malay way, and it's a chicken back and a this, although now chicken back is big shot now, you know, I mean, things so expensive now, the price. But you know, if it's a case where somebody is some soldier or what's the name of that mud crab you get in the ravines, the back, you know, or something that they can go on with a coconut mapa, whatever, and they do, and you go and you keep telling them how low class they are, that's what they eat. Who do you think they're going to huddle with? What do you think they're going to identify with if somebody comes around and they see the person eating their back, or they come and the person put out a calabash and say, put some for me, and they sit down and eat it with them and so on, like they don't look down. In fact, when they finish, they tell them, oh my goodness, this back and well, you know, this kind of thing. At the end of the day, give them a little $20 and say, garçon, moi ça vous that back is back come out the phone shy by. What do you think if that person runs for election, they'll vote for? Stop the denigration. At the same time, stop being naive to believe that any time somebody says something that seems to be an attack on another person, that right away that means the person is one of your own. Get wise. Be smart in those things. Politics is about trying to win people. It's about trying to bring people over. while at the same time not letting go of yourself, of your vigilance, of your guardedness, and so on. Once you are in government, it is very unusual for your support to grow. In other words, the government may be unpopular, but the opposition is even more unpopular. It's very rare you will find that once you're in government, your total support in terms of the percentage of votes or seats, whatever, will increase, or that you are going to get, more people than the opposition tends to make inroads into the government support base more than the government makes. Why? It's very simple. Not anything wrong the government have to do, For the simple reason that once you are in power, you become the one that everybody blames for everything. They have an increase in murders. Philip J. Pierre ki pa afanyen. Richard Frederick ki pa afanyen. You can reason with them as much as you want about look at what you've done for the police and this kind of thing. Opposition will make sure they think only of the murders and the killings and whatever. And this person, even your own supporters, will begin to get restless and will have a certain degree of resentment because this one wanted a scholarship for their child. This one wanted something, a job. Not that they don't have a job, they wanted a particular job in a particular way. This one wanted that. And so you are challenged to retain. There are a few instances where it has happened, where the government was unpopular, but the opposition was even more unpopular than the government. I've seen it happen right there in St. Lucia. Labour Party won 8 seats in 2 elections in April 1987. 8 seats, so the result was 9-8. A guy crossed the floor. Next election, the seat that the guy crossed the floor, they came back and they took it from him. As a matter of fact, after we wrote the headline, which Rick Wynn put Snack's Last Dance, my late cousin Thomas Arawak James called me and said, you know what a good headline for that story would be? Shadell mauled in Labrie. And I told Rick that. Rick told me, oh my goodness, that would have been great, but the paper has been put to bed already. Arawak told me, man, that's a good thing. Shadell mauled in Labrie. I said, whoa, this is super. Creativity and so on. Yeah, they took back Labrie. And they took Denry North. Tony Torrance blew away Ferdinand Henry. But they lost 3 seats. You understand? So in the end, the result, from 9-8 came back to be 11-6. The DWP won 11, of the seats. They took the whole West Coast, They took ancillary canneries, they took Soufre, they took, Choiseul and so on, by narrow margins most of the time. But they took those seats. And I remember Martinus Francois, who at the time was budding into his writing books and so on, he said, look at it, what has happened there? And I remember I came to the Star, I interviewed him, we had some good conversations, I didn't always agree. He said, the government is unpopular, but the opposition is even more unpopular than the government. It has happened in Antigua and Barbuda, where, you thought the opposition was going to come back, but then the government somehow pulled some bunny out of it has happened in Dominica. That when the UWP, especially under Lennox Linton, captured 3 seats, then 6, Roosevelt Scared came back and beat them back again. It's like, the government, whatever unpopularity the opposition was exceeding or the government knew. But usually, it is the government that suffers a tapering in support. It may win all the seats, but you will see the margins by which it won them are not so great. It may lose a few seats, but still stay in power. But it is usually the government that has to watch for a loss of support. Not because it is doing anything bad, but because it gets blamed for everything and some of its supporters begin to feel that either they're not going to vote or whatever, they didn't get this or that, and they're upset and this and that and the other. So don't go cussing out people and whatever. The other thing too, which I see Labour Party people tend to do, now I don't think it's Labour Party only doing it, folks. I'm a Labourite. These are the people I care about. These are the people that I talk to, I'm a Labourite. I find that we go after, in a scattershot, we after everybody. Everybody who says something, we believe we have to answer them. It's a Spider. Yeah, he is the one MC, whatever, chairing almost all the meetings. This is a Spider running again. Focus yourselves. Who is the person on the hustings going to look to unseat Kenson Kazimi and take Grozile, which would be a huge blow if that were ever to happen, from the Labour Party? It's not Spider, it's Marcella. So why is Spider making all the noise? And a lot of us feel we have to respond and go after Spider we're not hearing anything about Marcella these days. Huh? She's really quiet, mostly. You hardly hear anything. When was the last time you heard from Marcella in any significant way?
I met Marcella in person recently. The only time I heard from her significantly was when she said something to which the Minister for Housing responded last night on his show. But that's for another show.
But Marcella, who knows that she being quiet, she hiding behind spiders. Spider is the one up front, drawing fire, being the decoy. And Marcella I'm not saying that's what's happening, but she may well be on the ground in the neighborhoods, going and talk to people, and before somebody start crying, she crying with them and holding them and developing a sense of bonding and so on. And we feel we have to go. I was saying push back, but Spider is not the candidate. Spider ain't the one running again. It's not Minerva come and I used to be the person who used to respond to Minerva and take on. I stopped doing it, You know why?
Nonsense.
It's not so much insignificant. Minerva is doing more harm and damage to the UWP
like
than she's helping them.
She's not even liked within the party.
I ain't going to say that. You know why? Because I want her to continue doing it. I don't want to take her on because if I say it, she might correct course. Minerva Ward has done some of the most damage.
She tried to correct course on Wednesday though, because even Labour Party supporters said that they were somewhat impressed and relatively impressed because she appeared more docile and less.
Less enwagée. She can hardly get the words.
But as of yesterday, she's on the next flight back to Canada.
Okay,
so that's good.
Until one day I said to myself, Shelton, don't take her on.
Yeah.
You don't make them wise to their own ways. Because there are too many people in the UWP I know who absolutely hate her. You understand? And when I say hate her,
too many
people who hate her. They believe she's pushy, she's overbearing, she's full of herself, thinks she knows everything and so on. And you can name names. You can name names of people who virtually feel. But then you tell yourself, if people inside the UWP, and I see some of the comments, I could call names, but I won't. The moment you say that, you cause them to close ranks. If they can do that, but the leader cannot see that kind of thing. If even this guy from Praline, what's his name, Marvin Charles, who used to be hand in glove with a tag team, the guy don't even want to hear her name. The guy, this is the first time I have seen Marvin Charles openly defying Alan Chasney.
The BBC guy.
In other words, Alan Chasney has this. Alan Chasney is the one who sustains and retains Minerva Ward in the UWP. Marvin Charles is a guy who's the Bring Back Shas. That's the name of his program, right?
BBC can do a lot of things.
Good. Okay, so but the guy got so absolutely upset. And has so much disdain. The guy openly, you would say, defies. He don't care if Alan Chasney thinks highly of her. He's telling it that she's evil. He's telling her. What does that tell you? You swore there was a chance that she was the one who kind of was how would we say that is nursing this guy in the United Workers' Party. The guy don't want to hear her name. So I said to myself, Shelton, look at this kind of thing. She is spreading discord and disaffection and division in the UWP. Why you want to take her on? Why you want to give her the raison d'etre of, pushing against you and being, leave her alone, let her do the damage she's doing. Because if the leader cannot see how damaging she is to the United Workers' Party, that's why I always, with references, to say leadership matters.
But alternately, though, Shelton, what we have found, especially with that crop of UWP, no matter how much there's infighting, internecine warfare, they always close ranks towards the election. Whomever steps in,
I think you've heard me say that.
Yes.
There is nothing that excites a flambeau more than the prospect of we see a chance for us have fun. Tell Shoy Labour. They don't care at the time whether the leader that they have they think is, and they have said he is crap. They don't care if they think the party is in disarray. They don't care if the candidate, they're not too hot on him. Once the election bell rings, as far as they're concerned, this is not about the state of Flambeau, the quality of its leader, the viability of its candidate. This is a chance for us to pity on bagay labor, Yep. And when it's won, it's a matter of, well, we know we have problems. We'll take care of that. That'll take care of itself. What's important is that we bang labor ass for them, as they say. That's how they think of it. Don't talk for if an inspiring figure comes into the play, as happened in 2006.
Yes.
No matter all the problems they had with Morella and Marius Wilson and Marcus Nicholas, so John came back. Man, Papa is back, And as far as they're concerned, everything else will take care of itself. Papa didn't last a year, He only lasted about 9 months.
Well, this ain't going to be an Uncle Shas's back.
Right.
So.
Well, I know. But I'm saying, this is the way they think. This is a chance for us to have food labor on bell could but you know, and that's the way. And so you have to tell yourself, no matter what the problems you see, that they can coalesce simply on. And so some people you may see criticizing, don't go and make you think they're friend. The moment they see the election, and especially if they see a little glimmer of hope, that they can pull it off, whether on a constituency basis, that we can take Denry North and we can mash up Sean and this kind of thing there, that excited. Imagine in one of the constituencies, there was actually a woman whose family I know towards the Labour Party. I think they already had her, if not endorsed, but certainly in the final stages of consideration to be a candidate for the Labour Party. The individual, intelligent, advanced university education, the kind of person that you would say is a good find. But the moment Papa was back, you know, and this thing repeated itself in so many other places that you saw the pullback from people you thought were leaning towards Labour were coming over. But once Papa was back, the inspiration and the lift in the mood and the spirit and the confidence came back with them. So
and you remember what caused the momentum to shift in favor of the EWP in 2016. That was just that day in Babuno when Stevenson King came on platform and said that.
Was it Babuno there? So I don't know. When we saw by Alan Michael Shasta,
yes.
and Ubaldus came on and took off his shirt and exposed his yellow shirt and all this kind of thing. I
remember there was a faction and a significantly influential faction of the United Workers' Party that could have shifted, that could have kept the momentum as it was in favor, well, not in favor of the EWP.
United Workers
and that was
Party.
After a lot of wrangling.
Exactly.
A lot of wrangling.
A United Workers Party. Well, you know, I mean, what does that mean, you know? You know, it means that we can pull it off, and they were right. They did pull it off. As unexpected as it was.
So it's 1 or 2, I suppose. Yeah. We're taking a break.
Yes.
And when we come back, we will deal with that, because what we're going to play, especially the first set of clips we're going to play, is going to actually coincide almost directly with what you said. So I guess when we come back, Jaquan, we will speak about it.
Yeah. Okay, Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We'll be back. Miguel has a bit to say and to put forward, and I promise you, not long thereafter, it's Friday, you have a whole weekend coming in between. We want to give you as much of the phone time as possible.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell V4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
By Blue Waters, I'm Shelton Daniel alongside Miguel Favre. Who'll about take it from me?
Shelton, you remember I've said on more than one occasion that my first political assignment after joining the media over 12 years ago, was the UWP convention when Alan Chastney became the leader. I am not suggesting, I'm not asking. I saw the betrayal. I know who was paying who at the delegates, when the delegates went in to vote, and who paid who to pull off that mutiny on Stephenson King. I was right there for Stephenson King's anger and disappointment. And I want Guy and Nancy to tell me that it's true that people were not paid to go support to vote for Alan Chastney. And I'll show you all the evidence. Guy, you heard me? All right. But also, the very next year started what I would not have known, Shelton, would have eventually become a movie called A Tale of Two Previlles. Or do we call it, remember the Titans? How ironic this, Titus. But so let's remember the Previlles. And where a gentleman named a trade advisor, a very well-known economist called Dr. Claudius Preville, decided to challenge Alan Chastney for the leadership of the United Workers' Party. Because even before his ascension to the leadership, there were already concerns within the ranks of the United Workers' Party about his impetuousness, his recklessness, his racist behavior and elitist behavior, and also misogynist, because the women in the United Workers' Party were treated very badly. Claudius Preville appeared to have all what it takes to unseat Alan as leader of the party, even in Alan's early days. But the machinery was put in place and mobilized to ensure that they suppress anybody who is likely to support Claudius Preville at the polls. Fast forward to 2025, when the name Titus Preville, although it has been bandied about for over 6 months, Shelton, but we finally received confirmation that Titus Preville, another career public servant, intelligent, and very, very smart in his own right, very well respected, decides that he is going to run the Barbono seat for the St. Lucia, the United Workers' Party. In Titus's debut, he gives an address and he only mentions Alan Chastney once towards the end, but he thanks, like someone put, he thanks everybody, including his dog. But Alan Chastney was nowhere in sight. And then there was some pressure on Titus Sprayville. Then he appears on, what show was it? Newsmaker Nonsense? Or right? Yeah. Right? News Spin Alive. And then he proceeds to speak the truth that Alan Chastney can be considered reckless. He didn't outright call him reckless. He said he can be considered a bit reckless. And Philip J. Pierre is as steady as he goes. Yes. I think, without even giving further explanation to that, I think Jaquan should play the clip and play Alan Chastney's response right after, and then we're going to get into that.
Some people might say,
when I see some people who,
Alan Chastney, some people might say he's reckless.
When I see some people who go out and they want to be like the Messiah, and have all the solutions to the problems within the party. It's not even about winning their seat. The fact is, who do you believe you're convincing on the outside?
Some people might say he's reckless.
Hold our party to a higher standard, but let us do it amongst ourselves.
Alan Chastney, some people might say he's reckless.
How speaking on the outside is going to change anything on the inside?
Some people might say he's reckless.
And there you have it. Titus Sprayville spoke the truth, and Alan Chastney gets defensive. And there's no one who can tell me that that reference was not to Titus Sprayville. Shelton, what do you think?
Well, I don't see who else it could put in.
Thank you very much.
Nobody else who has watched this believes that it is directed at anyone else
exactly.
but Titus Sprayville.
So what does it say, Shelton? It says that I am the boss of this party.
Yeah.
I am the owner of this party.
And you must submit to me.
You must submit to me. Now, I know Titus Sprayville is not a man, whether it be ego-wise or personality-wise, to be disrespected in that manner. But you made a point earlier, Shelton, about us Labour Party supporters not being too quick to take a statement like his as one of, okay, I'm on your side now. A friend, enemy of my enemy is my friend.
It doesn't automatically make Titus a Labour Party.
Right, because it now becomes a tale of two narcissists.
Yes.
Alan Chastney, as we all know, is a narcissist. But Titus Sprayville is showing that as well from the very fact, from the very belief, and there's nobody that's going to make me believe otherwise, that Titus Sprayville is going to stay there and quote-unquote bow, let's use the term for bow for lack of a better term, to Alan Chastney, or to kowtow to Alan Chastney without having his own ulterior motive. And that is, like has been said, and like Stephen Favre, like was Tommy Descott, and it's not something that they have not told other people, you know. Certain among them have told other people that already. Like when you hear Tommy say, don't mind Alan, you're voting for me. You're voting for me, not Alan Chastney in Castries South. The ego and the narcissism to believe that you are smarter than him, he has a mixed degree, you have an actual degree, and people respect you, so let's follow for me to lead and I can actually become the leader. That itself is just characteristic of the current new WP. So there's nobody that's going to make me believe that Titus Sprayville has finally found what do you call that? Some integrity in that sense, political integrity, by saying what everybody already knows, that Alan Chastney is reckless and Philip J. Pierre is a more prudent manager, or a prudent, not more prudent, a prudent manager of the economy and his party. So I'm going to be one of those fools to believe that, hey, boy, maybe he's on our side now because he threw a little shade at Alan. Look at Richard Peterkin now and his antics this week, or what they call his antics this week, about exposing what they believe exposing someone who believes was behind a fake profile.
Some sweaty palms.
Right. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Peterkin, but I thought that was low. Right? But then he also, you've noticed in a lot of his comments as of late, he sort of suggested that he needs to clarify certain things that he said, or he's going to clarify certain things that he said. Right? Not even if he goes after Minerva Ward, whom I shall not mention again, where I believe that he is someone who's not leaning, who doesn't have his leanings or will not remain true to his leanings. So basically what I'm saying is, Titus Sprayville, we're not fooled by this, but right now the cat is among the pigeons. So let you and Alan Chastney deal with your battle, and if Tommy and Stephen Favre are thrown into the mix, let them deal with that. But there is one person in particular, Shelton, I really want to go down on, and I ain't leaving Guy Joseph alone. I'm not leaving Mate alone at all. This guy is uncouth. He's disgusting. What did he say about Richard? That he's a disgrace to the human race.
He's called Richard so many names. He said Richard is a demon. Richard is a devil.
But Guy Joseph is not a disgrace to the human race, because there's no way in hell or heaven or earth or anything in existence that he can be human. Guy Joseph is a pig.
Oh,
he is a pig.
That's severe.
Severe? I'm being nice to pigs.
To call a Seventh-day Adventist a pig.
Yeah, I like pork. I like black pudding, but Guy Joseph is a pig. I'll tell you why he's a pig. Say that, please, Shake One.
Invoking biblical rhetoric to further demonize the current government leader as he rallied the United Workers' Party base.
God told Israel, I don't want you to have a king. Let God be your king. They said, no, we want a king because all those around us have kings. He said, this king will overtax you, will enslave your people. They said, we still want a king. God said, okay, you want a king? Have it. So, I know people say God appoints governments. God in his wisdom and his foreknowledge, through providence, guided St. Lucia to a leader. The government endorsed by God himself.
Join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name.
God permits governments to be elected, but bon Dieu pas mis pièce non mauvais comme Philippe J. Pierre in charge of Italy, causing chaos. I know you have no balls. The man is preoccupied with testicles. You have been castrated. Leiva su Gwen, it been pale Gwen asu TV moon.
I will tell you one thing I've observed about the Labour Party. Tim, it appears that there is a special devil that takes possession of people when they become members of the Labour Party. The Labour Party is like a cult. There is an orientation. I don't know what blood they drink when they get inside there.
So Musa, you should be charged with genocide.
There is something devilish about being a member of this Labour Party, and that how you lose all sense of being human.
As a man, it's not a lady that's the Minister of Education. Will the schools have to report to you so you can know how many young women in the school got their periods during the time that they were in school? I also want to say to you, there's a passage of scripture that I like. I want you, when you have your time, in Ephesians 6 and verse 12. If your daughter's period comes on the weekend, will you go and knock on the school door and ask the security to open there for you so you can get some pads? I ain't polishing no language. I ain't calling no sanitary napkin. I know better. We have to pray. We have to seek divine intervention, because the powers we are fighting against is not ordinary powers of mankind. If they don't eat, they will not die. Or they will not suffer that much.
And Nickens, not one of people who want to sit by and to say, la gouvernement, Mr. Minister. See, some people like that.
Same set of people that getting the food every day. Watch hungry people they have on the road there. Watch them. hungry people that need food. You hear that? And they're taking all the food and they're bringing it at their home.
These fellas are led by evil forces. You see this latest law that they are not objecting to? There is no greater abomination in any country. Yes, in Sodom and Gomorrah, the men were burning inside them with lust for other men. We must never allow the wickedness that Labour Party is perpetuating to put us off track. We are bringing a curse upon our country.
In the case of this latest law, declaring that our anti-buggery laws are unconstitutional, that is not the result of any kind of legislative process undertaken by Philip J. Pierre and Leslie Mondesi and Ernest Hilaire and this, and that's not true. Guess who defended against it? Guess who was sued? Guess who had to answer for the state and for the government? Who else but the government's chief legal advisor, the Attorney General? The Attorney General was the defendant. He had to be defending the state of St. Lucia, which includes the government, against this lawsuit by the claimants United and Strong, Bellas and Theodule and all of that. They decided to challenge this thing in court. So they are the claimants, United and Strong, Inc. They are the ones who are saying, look, we want the court to take a look at this thing. And guess who was the defendant? Who they brought the case against? The Attorney General of St. Lucia. So don't go and say, like the government, go and pass a law to say that same sex and anal sex and bullying and whatever it is we want to call it, and buggery and so on, that's not true. The government of St. Lucia stood against this. United and Strong, Inc. The High Court found that it agreed with them and said this thing has to be struck out because it is in conflict with the Constitution, flies in the face of the Constitution, and a court finds the law has to go.
I like to credit MBC and the Real Issues for the last part of that clip.
Thank you.
Folks, I'd like to apologize for the torture you've had to endure for the past 3-4 minutes or so, but I think it was necessary. The first thing I'm going to say, are you Guy Joseph? You have children? A man without children is the one insinuating that others are gay. But let's get to the crux of the matter. Shelton, I wonder what the LGBT new United Workers' Party supporters have to say. The Ian Caldrons, the Joshua
Cornelius Harrell, for example.
Yes, Cornelius Harrell,
a guy who openly told me in a chat, not a very friendly one that he was having, that he's bisexual, and he has the audacity to tell me you should try it sometime. You know,
wow,
that was the most unforgivable part of it to me. This guy is looking at me and telling me that I should try bullying, and so I thought a man like Cornelius Harrell would appreciate that court ruling,
but he doesn't,
and that would come to St. Lucia. I think he appreciates it. But how do you meld with a United Workers' Party who's such a prominent figure, their deputy leader, Mr. Everything and so on, comes out and says this kind of thing, and you are openly in a thing, which I can show you at some point.
And Alan Chastney is a product of Canada.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, I think that wouldn't be the reason why Harrell would change any plans he has to come to St. Lucia. I think the fact that a lady named Lily August is still alive and that he would need to face her having at least $250,000 and so on in his hand at that stage, because it keeps adding up all the time, the interest and all of that. So Cornelius Harrell, maybe you need to come out and speak and say what you think of what Guy Joseph has to say vis-a-vis what you think of the court ruling that says that those sections of our criminal code, the anti-buggery laws, that they're unconstitutional. I think you would be rejoicing based on what you told me about yourself, as opposed to what Guy Joseph, the deputy leader, most prominent person in the United Workers' Party that you support, is saying about this.
And closer to home, Joshua Harrow.
Okay.
What does he have to say? Because he did say that he was the right guy or whatever he called him on the stage. So what do they have? But you know, Shelton, this guy keeps putting his moldy and athlete's foot infested foot in his smelly mouth. I know which one gets infected by the other, but one infects the other, or they may just balance each other out. But guy looks at me and says, "Oh, I ain't talking to no ex-convict." The community of Castries Southeast, which he represented. You know who voted against him apart from those in his church? The mothers who have sons in jail. The mothers who have sons or children who found themselves on the wrong, or people who found themselves on the wrong side of the law themselves. So this is what he thinks about them. This is what he thinks about young girls who cannot afford to. And you know, he's going to be on platform. He's going to mention, trust me, he's going to mention me. I want to be the little Jamet surrogates. He's going to come and mention me on social media. The mad false. Just wait. I'm ready for guy.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have stopped caring.
I have stopped caring about them.
If I did
but
care.
That guy come because I'm ready for him.
You know, the foolishness of those people who, you know, I have stopped caring if ever I did care. But you see, Guy Joseph has to know that this same Bible that he loves to quote, that it says something about prophets, you know, people who purport to or present or project themselves as prophets. Because I hear he has made a prediction that elections are going to be on Sunday or Monday on the 18th. You know, that'll be Monday coming. Now, if elections are going to be there, you have to ask yourself, when was the writ of elections issued? How nomination day can take place if just 2 days before? Why Parliament has not yet been dissolved? But he made a prediction that elections were going to be on the 18th, and I think he framed it in a prophetic context and so on. But let me tell him Deuteronomy chapter 18. Let's go around verse 20 or verse 22 and so on. And it says this. Let me see that it says... Okay. Good. And it shall be, that's verse 19 to 22, I think. And it shall be that whoever will not hear my words, which he speaks in my name, will require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. You know? And if you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the thing does not happen or come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You shall not be afraid of him. So when a man can come on a platform, a man who presents himself as a minister, as a pastor, whatever he is, a man who's always quoting the Bible and confidently predicts that elections will be. You know, today is the 15th, you know, so we're talking about 3 more days and elections will be called. And he said it if all...
I think it's for United Workers Party leadership.
He said it if all the confidence and so on and conviction you can think of, that election's going to be on Monday coming. Well, let's see how you're going to work your way through this one, mister. You know, with all the quotes, you always have something to say about abomination, the greatest abomination. Who says that homosexuality is the greatest abomination?
I think sin is the greatest abomination.
You know, all sin is lawlessness. You know, all sin is a lawlessness against God. It is an abomination to those of us who believe so. Why do you think God was wiping out those Canaanite people and telling the Israelites, using them as his instrument to wipe them out? It's not only for homosexuality or Sodom and Gomorrah. These people were idol worshippers who were burning their children alive as rituals to appease the gods that they worship. So if one year the crops are failing and the famine is destroyed, they would not bend down the knee to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These people would go and they would do chants to their own gods, and then they would take their own children, that's among some of the children, and put the children, tie them up, and burn them alive in a fire. This was the depravity that came upon those people. So don't focus only on homosexuality. People who are doing ritualistic and idolatrous.
Did his grandfather have a fork?
You know what I mean? Infanticide and this kind of thing. Who are you to want to categorize this crime or this sin as being worse than the other, and this other one has not been good? Cannibalism, the people were practicing it, and sometimes they were actually eating their own children and doing this sort of thing, which is why God said to the Israelites, if you go and do the same things that those people are doing, which is why I'm driving them out, so that I can plant you in their place, I will cause even worse to come upon you. And you have to read a story in one of the books of prophecy where 2 Israelite women under siege with a foreign army pressing on them, no food, nothing, and had a discussion, you know, yesterday we ate your child, tomorrow we will eat my child. The women, you know, the situation is so bad. This is a kind of punishment. So when you want to come and use your standing as a minister of religion to promulgate interpretations and exegesis of scripture that are totally way off. Mister, be prepared for the consequences. I'm not preaching to you, no, but be prepared. Play your politics, do your politics, but stop this twisting and this misapplication of scripture, because it says the prophet who does this shall die. I hope you don't die. I'm not wishing death on you, because we all will get there one day.
He could die politically for all
exactly. But maybe the death that you will suffer is the death of all credibility, is the death of all respect, is the death of all regard that people will have for you. It may die a very quick and sudden death that you would never see coming.
But before I'll read a comment. We need to apologize to Senator Alison Shaw. She says, Miguel and Shelton, I will sue you all for the indigestion I'm suffering now while watching these yellow flies. I'm sorry. But Shelton, you know, I don't blame him, because he's of limited intelligence, right? And I know what fooled him into thinking he was a prophet. If by the end of the year we don't finish St. Jude's, I don't deserve to be in government. It came true. It came to pass. So he probably believes it.
He should have taken his prophecy a little further and said, I don't deserve to ever be back in government.
Back in government. No worry, we'll take care of that. You know, we will take care of it. Anyway. Break time, we'll take some calls when we come back.
Real issues powered by Blue Waters don't go away.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with The Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters, on this Friday, the 15th of August, 2025. Good afternoon to Mahoney Oje of Vieux, who sends me a message saying, "Good day, Shelton. Can you send advanced birthday greetings to my dad, Bawin Oje, whose birthday will be on Sunday, the 17th August, from all his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Thank you." I do know the retired inspector, or was it Superintendent Bawin Oje Mahoney. I never made the connection. That he is your dad. Good gentleman, nice man. And Mahoney, I'm ashamed to say, this is the first time I'm realizing that the Oje, that you are the brother of Hermina Oje, the former, I think she was once Hermina Francis, Claudius Francis's ex-wife, who was my co-worker for some time, close friend of two of my elder siblings and so on. I believe that's her dad also. So I'm very, very sorry that I didn't make the family connections. And now I can understand why you're such a good guy, you know.
But it's funny you say that, because it's only a few years ago I've known that my schoolmate from Anglican, he was a year ahead of me, and St. Mary's College, was his son, Ronnie Oje, Evergreen Transport. I never knew. It's only Ronnie told me that a few years ago.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I do recall. I think Hermina, I did know as the daughter of this policeman at the time. And now I'm knowing that you are his son as well. So maybe, unless I'm getting the things a little mixed up here, I'm beginning to make the family connection. You all seem to be of a very nice, a bloodline of very nice people. So keep it that way. My greetings to your wife, Diane Oje, another very, very nice person. Very sincere. You know, I tend to always talk about people being nice, because there's so many people who are just not genuine in the world. Who you may see on the surface, you know, the belle-fleurs out there, people who have a good appearance and so on, who talk very well, but underneath are quite rotten people when push comes to shove, and you really get in a situation to see them for what they are. Then the layers that they've been masking themselves with get peeled away. So when I find people that over time you can make an assessment of them, that they're genuine, not perfect people. They make mistakes. They can disappoint you at times. But you can see that there is a sincerity and that there is a genuineness about them, even in their mistakes and faults and disappointments. I always appreciate and cherish and value such people. 487-9849, 758-487-9849, and the landline 4533911. We have our first caller. You're on the air. Go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hi. Afternoon. Hey, comrade, how you doing?
Yeah, hi there. Good afternoon. I didn't want to miss Friday because long weekend on everything. But I've been listening to your whole argument and the portrayal of Guy Joseph and the things that he's saying and the attempt he's making to dissuade the minds of St. Lucians with respect to the government that is there and the way forward that St. Lucian has to go. I believe in my own thinking and the way I look at things, that St. Lucians will make the biggest mistake in their life and the progress of St. Lucia if they are persuaded by what Guy Joseph is saying. I don't know I can go lower than that by saying that.
You can't go lower than Guy.
But what saddens me more, my two brothers here, is that St. Lucian politics, together with what Guy Joseph is saying, Alan Chasney is saying, but to me, the biggest thing in our politics now is that we have actually gone down to the real gutter and gutter politics. I wanted to really say that with no reservation. I say that because I followed the news on NBC with the fella in the gutter. I'd heard it before, and Alan Shasday last Sunday really elevate the man and saying, well, it was leadership and things. But I believe my brother and brothers, St. Lucians who are listening to me, that is the lowest level, I would say, is gutter politics, and it's real gutter politics. I say that because it is a demonstrable, if I use that word, indication that the UWP, to me, will go down to the actual gutter to demonstrate and confuse the minds of people as far as whenever the election is called. It's very clear. What we have witnessed the postures of the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Alan Shasney, and the things that we do. And I forgot that the last time I heard on Richard Frederick last night that he rode on the back of a motorcycle, not knowing well the credibility of the person who was driving the road. And these are very serious things, and people don't take these things seriously. But these things, to me, as I said, I believe the last time, relate to the UWP trying to portray itself as an organization and a political party with a leadership that would seek to respond to the interests of the common people and the working people in St. Louis. These are very serious things. Yeah. So when I witness Descartes in the gutters, to me, it's another extension of the UWP's quest to confuse people. Upper class and middle class people in their normal daily lay life don't go down to gutter and try to clean gutter and things like that, my brother. They don't. Let me just check their postures and all the kind of things and things. They don't. But why now? The comrade, the the man really checks and go down to the gutter.
Many people say he had to do it.
My two brothers.
Yeah. Many people say that Tommy Descartes had to do this because he had to give a visible, tangible representation of the entire mindset of the UWP, which is gutter politics.
Now, that's the thing. It is.
In other words, he
this
does
is who
something,
we are.
But it is illustrative of a wider
thing.
mindset of the way. Because haven't you noticed that the UWP for a while has been planting people into press conferences, the weekly government press briefings. Before it was a man who used to always come with things about impacts report. Always you get his
gutter politics in the real.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were gone already. Sorry.
Else. That's another call.
Huh?
No, comrade Dimac.
Yeah.
I thought you had hung up already. Sorry about that.
Yeah. These are very serious things that people have to take into consideration and balance it against what the government of the SLP on the JPI really seeking to advance people. Yeah? I have not heard any of the unions or the interest groups come out and call and accept what the government has done in terms of paying the temporary teachers, for example, for their other salaries. For years, since under John Compton, these things have been existing. Temporary teachers were not being paid during August. You know? So people have to realize these kind of things and let us see how we can really gel these things and advance the people instead of what we are hearing. And the gutter politics we are really witnessing in a real sense and the postures of the UWP to fool the minds of people. I'm sorry I took too much of your time, my brother.
No worries, brother, comrade. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much. You know, these people are planting people in the press conferences. Now, at one time, I got the sense that it was, I don't want to mention his name now. He seems to have moved on or gone on to other things. Deliberately to try to stoke up and to stir up some dirt about Richard Frederick, whether it's in relation to...
I don't think he was planted. I think he planted himself.
All right.
Knowing the character well.
Okay. Against Richard Frederick and impacts report and all this sort of thing, to the point where Philip JP had to tell him, that's not your business, whether I've read the impacts report or not. Now another person has come, and it's after Richard that they go in. Now you wonder why they were not doing that before, because then they felt they had that sort of Damocles hanging over Richard's head, his visa revocation. The United States has restored his visas, and do you believe a country like US, which has so many resources, to check and to find out what's going on with a person, that they would have restored Richard
without
Frederick
doing the necessary.
unless they had done all the checking to see that there was a basis for clearing him. So now that they cannot use that US visa revocation, they're trying all kinds of manufactured dirt. The same way that Martinez crashed and burned. So now I have to come out and do it myself with injunction, with this and with that and the other and so on. So now Richard Frederick is the target. But if you all believe that is what is going to improve Rush Clark's chance in Central Castries, then you all are even more ridiculous and laughable. You know, you all believe that is going to give Rush Clark a better chance at defeating Richard Frederick and so on. Yeah, come on, people. It's just the same way like having an address to the nation at 8:30. The exact time that kind of help is supposed to start. You believe you have what it takes to cut? No, you believe you have what it takes to cut into Richard Frederick's audience? You believe you have? You believe people will switch off or put Richard Frederick on pause to come and watch you? They will take the link for you and they'll come back to you after Richard Frederick, but you will be able to cut into Richard Frederick's audience on a Thursday night. Now going to happen. And last night was no exception.
While they're on the toilet
same thing they trying, I suppose. Yeah. I'll take the call. Hold on, caller. Same thing they trying with Sunday. SLP having something at Palm Valley and then Renouf. So we're going to have something at St. Jude. Same thing on whatever. Well, good luck to you. Let's see how you're going to push against the St. Lucia Labour Party. You know, we have a call on the line. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
Okay. I have to agree with Miguel that Guy Joseph is a figure. I have a few other adjectives I want to use to describe Guy Joseph, but I think Facebook is going to shut down my account forever. Guy Joseph is lying and disgusting. I heard when Guy Joseph said about the period poverty, and he also referenced not even Haiti, that is as poor, that is poor, that have period poverty, but we come in with poverty. Would you believe that Guy Joseph on Wednesday, I think when they had the press conference, would say he talked about period poverty because what the government was doing was not enough? Guy said that if they win the election, that they would do more for period poverty, like putting pads in health centers and churches and other places, and they would give more money. How? What is Guy thinking of? Are we all
a clown.
stupid?
The guy is a clown.
You cannot say one thing, and now that you are caught, you're going to say you've said that because your party is going to do more. What more can you do? You asked if the ministers wanted to know the amount of girls that had their periods, and you were not polishing it. You were saying pads. You were disgusting, Guy Joseph, and now you're saying it's because you want to do more. Anyway, gentlemen, have a good weekend.
We've seen politicians reinvent themselves or attempt to reinvent themselves. We saw Sir John Compton before he came back and speak about his mistakes during his tenure. We've seen Dr. Kenny Anthony basically said he had learnt prior to 2011, learned from a lot of his mistakes from there. We even saw other politicians come back. Guy Joseph has attempted to reinvent himself. And you know what he has done?
It's the same old.
He got glasses.
More of the same.
Yeah, he got glasses. So he's the same old dunce, the same old idiot who just put on a pair of glasses for him to hear properly.
We have another call on the line. Hi, good afternoon. Real Issues. Hello? Yeah, hi, caller.
Good afternoon.
Are you there? Hello? Caller, can you hear me? Yeah, hello? It's still ringing. It's showing that it's still ringing.
Are you calling?
All right.
It's on.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, Real Issues.
Good afternoon, Sheldon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
And I want to add my voice to this thing about Guy Joseph being just a bad person and also a bad Christian as an elder in the Forest Day Adventist Church. And you would expect persons who do not know, and you would expect persons who do not know or have had an encounter with Jesus Christ would have been the ones expelling all this kind of profanities and all this nonsense. But Guy Joseph sees himself as the one to do it. And I'm calling on the leadership of our church. And I said our, because I'm ashamed to be identified with Guy Joseph, to look into disciplinary actions against him. Because that is not how a Christian is supposed to behave. And he's bringing the entire Seventh-day Adventist church into disrepute.
But you're an Adventist, guys, are invent vis.
And the other thing I want to talk about, Sheldon. You know, sometimes people suffer in silence and they don't tell you their stories. Last night when I listened to Richard Frederick and how he was being attacked from all sides, from the attorney generals suing him here, and he had to decide whether or not he continues with the show or not, because court injunction here, and they want to sue him, and they go to Flo, and they went to McDowell, and Richard Frederick stood up and said, whatever, and cost it what it may, I will be the one defending my St. Lucian people. And that is what he has done. So sometimes when you hear Richard Frederick coming down hard on some people, and you say, well, you know, he should not have done that. But no, listening to him last night, I was in tears. I was in tears.
And he didn't lie about that flow thing, you know, I can vouch and tell you that's true.
There you go. It touched me, man, to see the kind of sacrifice he made for St. Lucians without a salary, his money being put in this program just to speak the truth to St. Lucians, the unadulterated truth, and making sure that St. Lucians who will believe in the lies and propaganda that's been spewed by the United Workers' Party is dispelled. And one of the things too, Sheldon, just like your program, Richard Frederick comes out with facts and he has evidence to back up his facts. And this is what we need in this time and this age. We can no longer go back to them old dressed up in skirts and tops, and this kind of gutter politics do not work anymore. How do you attract young people to your party when this is the thing you're talking about, Bolom and all this kind of foolishness? St. Lucia is moving forward. We have a leader and a party that have visionaries in there. We are not careless. And we have a prime minister who leads by example. That's my contribution, my brother.
The problem that I have with Guy Joseph, when he comes on with his biblical things and all of that, you're supposed to be an evangelist. Politics with your evangelization as a Christian minister and this kind of thing. Guy Joseph is calling down fire and brimstone on people and damnation and consigning them to hell if indeed he had the power to do that, and how they are wicked and they are evil and they are damned and they are people from Sodom and Gomorrah. And you know, it's like the guy is purporting and putting himself in a place of passing judgment on people. You know, how do you balance these two things and so on when you are going all out and using scripture to justify? Anyway, it seems like we have another caller. Okay. All right. Before we do, let me just say greetings to John Robert Lee, poet, writer in St. Lucia, who has been talking to me for a while about his new book, which is called After Poems, Psalms, which was released in the United Kingdom, published about a week ago. You know, so we want to acknowledge, you know, the work. And I mean, he's been sending me messages about it. I'm sorry about that, Robert, for not taking, you know, the time to acknowledge, you know, the work that you have done with this new release. He says, my new book, just published in the UK by Peepal Tree Press, give a plug if possible. One of your fans, and he also told me that he's your cousin. Eh?
Yes, he is.
So I don't know. Everybody seems to be your cousin.
That's on the.
All right. Let me just read. It says, John Robert Lee is a singular voice in that's from the back cover. Eh? A singular voice in Caribbean literature. He is a poet of rare authority, deep insight, and profound compassion, who walks in the shifting boundary line between praise and lament to produce stunning works. And that review was written by one Lorna Goodson. In After Poems Psalms, John Robert Lee puts twin dimensions of his poetry into a direct relationship. In using the 15th century form of the glossa, he makes extracts from biblical psalms, core testaments of his Christian faith, as the cabeza. Is that the head for Spanish? Yeah. Which form the poetic basis for the stanzas that grow from them. These explore the meaning of that faith to a man living in the neo-colonies of the Caribbean, in an island still oppressed by its history of enslavement, economic exploitation, and environmental degradation. Lee's poems find solace not only in faith, but in the spirit of resistance and often joyous creation in the arts of St. Lucia and the region. And it gives a little short bio of him. It says, John Robert Lee is one of the group of significant St. Lucian writers who are the younger contemporaries of the late Nobel laureate Derek Walcott. He is the author of 4 earlier collections, Elemental, Collected Poems 1975 to 2015, Peru, and Belmont Portfolio. His poetry appears in numerous magazines and anthologies, including the Penguin Book of Caribbean Verse. His reviews and columns appear widely, and he produced and presented radio and television programs in St. Lucia for over 30 years. He was also the author of a regular Christian column in The Voice. I think it's called Faith Today. Mm-hmm. And so Robert is a man. He's also a former director of... And
a former Rastafarian too.
Yes, remember? Former director of Information Services, former executive director of the Folk Research Center. So Robert, when it comes to culture, literature, the arts, poetry,
well-versed.
He's really been there.
Pardon the pun.
Okay.
Shelton.
Yeah, go ahead, Miguel.
I know we said we would not tackle the unimportant, who really have no bearing on the election campaign, like the Spider Montooth. But I think it's imperative that we call him out and the United Workers' Party, because he made some disparaging comments about the Commissioner of Police recently on their live platform, an independent body. And I want to know, and that's for you, Guy Joseph, Alan Chasney. I want to know if you agree, if you endorse those comments made by the public relations officer of what you call a party, about the statements he made about Mr. Vungard. I want to know if you as a political party, and if you are supposedly a government in waiting, if you endorse those comments. Because he's talking about Vungard being used as a political puppet. But let's not forget when HTS had to apologize the very next day when Chasney came into government and they wanted to get rid of Mosherry to put Daisy in. Mosherry had vacation. He was supposed to come in the February. So they wanted him out from the September to the February. They told him, no, go for a whole year and come back the next September. I verified that information. We reported on it. Nancy calls Linford Favory right away, the whole crew of them, that night, right after the thing airs, the story airs. And they asked where he got that information from. Now, Shelton, I think I can say it safely now. I got information from Mr. Mosherry. He was the source that I got directly. And it's a good thing my Springer, my editor, is there to back me up. So, of course, you pass that information on to Mr. Favory when goes on and tells them it was Mosherry. So, obviously, Mr. Mosherry has to cover it.
You mean Linford did that?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did. So, it's just had to apologize the next day, and lo and behold, what happened? Same year vacation Mosherry went on, they had Daisy in for the
right away.
Roman gave us among one of those.
Mosherry probably never wants to speak to you again.
No, man, Mosherry and I be good. In fact, the next day was a NIMAC meeting.
Do you know this getting rid of Mosherry is one of the reasons, if not the reason, the main reason why they could not do anything with that so-called impact report?
Yes.
They could not move forward with it at all. Because the Jamaican was in St. Lucia, a figure who they could trust. Who they respected, who they felt that they could give. Because what they got was just the summary synopsis thing of the Impacts. Impacts never did an investigation. Impacts recommended and recruited for them a major organized crime agency of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. A unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force is what they got. It's not Impacts itself. Now, maybe they chose the Jamaicans because the head of Impacts then and maybe until now is an ex-Jamaican Commissioner of Police, Francis Forbes. So he was familiar with these kinds of things happening in his country of police killing people and questions being asked and investigated. So Impacts recruited
5 Wolf, Double Daily Grand, 7, 13, 19, 20. Big 4, 0, 7, 7, 3. Big 4 Multi-X, FP. Pick 2, 2, 7. Pick 2 Multi-X, FP. 1 off, 0, 3, 0. Lucky 3, 9, 6, 1. Lucky 3 Multi-X, 2X.
Thank you so very much, Japan. Sorry about that, everyone. I didn't realize that 2 o'clock was upon us already. And you know, the Lotto, as I've explained to you so much, it comes on live. So it's not something we have saved in our system that we can keep the pause button on it and so on. It comes in live by prior arrangement and so on. But you know, the MOCA, they wanted to release the evidence file in the hands of somebody because they are aware of all the politics that it would be made of. It's their thing. Actually, they know lives might be at stake. People might end up getting bumped off if you see that evidence file gets and people will not want certain cases to reach court and they'll wipe out people and do all this kind of thing. So they wanted to be a responsible agency. And there's only one person in St. Lucia that they trusted, and that was Severin Moncherry. Severin Moncherry, people don't know what an awesome person this guy was. You know, this guy had a rating in Jamaica, whether honorary or whatever. The guy was ranked in Jamaica as an assistant commissioner. Wow. They had him as an assistant commissioner rated in the Jamaica Police Force. So, although he's a St. Lucian, functioning in St. Lucia, the respect, the regard, the access that they would give him and so on, you know, was of an assistant commissioner in Jamaica. So when they went and they took out Severin Moncherry and brought in Milton Daisy, I'm not making any statement about Daisy's suitability or anything. But the mere fact that you, through political interference, through a political process, come and you kick Moncherry upstairs. I don't think they kicked him out, gave him a hand, but they kicked him upstairs. And they bring in Daisy. Right away, you get the alarm bells ringing in the minds of those Jamaican investigators that the mere fact that you got out of man they regarded and you bring in Daisy, that means something politicized is going on there. You release that evidence file to him. It's not that they're saying Daisy is incompetent, but the manner of his being brought in is like, we ain't releasing that. So they could never, no matter all Herman Gill said about, he said to the Americans, give them 300 days and they'll resolve the impact report. They could not move forward with it. They could not. The evidence file of impacts never came to St. Lucia. The Jamaicans, all this thing, the impacts report. All they got was the little summary. And they went making their own interpretations of it because a line would say, and this so-and-so, a criminal, you know, they quote in, told us that Richard, Richard is the one who ordered us to do that. But nobody knows which Richard, but they want him already. So they're assuming it's Richard Frederick, which you can safely assume. If that had come out while they were in government and Richard was a minister, they would never be doing that. It's convenient. But what they don't know is that by taking that approach, going and leak the summary of impacts report, which was done, you know, going and leak it, making all kind of insinuations and all kind of speculation and conclusions that it is talking about this person and so on. Right away, what the cause was that they put the Jamaican investigators on guard. They were hyper vigilant that, look, if that is already happening with the summary report that they got, they're already doing that. What if we give them the real meat of the matter, the gravamen of that thing, and we release it into their hands? Those fellas are going to get people killed. Yeah. They're going to get people killed. They're going to get, maybe people might send people after us, the investigators. And that is when the impacts investigators, someone they trusted, could have brought them in St. Lucia or sent St. Lucians to interview them, say, okay, how did you arrive at this? And they can say, okay, these are the measurements that we took. This is what we did. This is the analysis that we did. And we said there is no way this man could have been dead before such and such a time and everything. All this kind of things that they had. But they went and they decided Moncherry, I guess, because he was appointed during the tenure of the Labour Party, he has to go. This was a competent man. I think the man also is a lawyer.
He does have a law degree.
Has a law degree and so on. And I'm telling you, the Jamaican investigators, there was no cop, certainly no leader of the police force that they regarded and respected more than Severin Moncherry. They would have entrusted the evidence file. They would have worked with him, with the DPP and so on. But the moment they politicized the thing, the Jamaicans ain't want to have anything to do with that, and they're not releasing anything. Severin Moncherry was actually rated as an assistant commissioner in Jamaica, even while he was serving here as commissioner or whatever. They had that kind of regard for him, you know. So let them do their foolishness. They are the ones who killed it.
They killed
any chance of prospect on impacts and so on. And I'm not saying that against Daisy or whatever. They were too in a hurry to kick Moncherry out, you know.
That's why it is.
Etc.
Shelton, I think as we close, I think as we go into a weekend, the best thing for us to do is to close on a positive note.
Yes.
Apart from inviting one and all, especially the young people, to this Sunday's rally, I'm so excited because, you know, Tandy Fla and I are fighting for the attention of Miss Haraxing. But of course, I'll be able to see Danny and Lisa, of course. But Shelton, Janet George just made a comment earlier. I think it's important. It'll be remiss of me not to mention those. As we speak, the Grosley Beach Park. It's been open, aka Simple Back.
Yes.
It's been open. But something that's important, I happened to be at the Ministry of Infrastructure this week, and I saw it, and I think today was the official unveiling of it. A paver. I remember when I joined the ministry, I asked the minister, I said, a minister and both PS I were done at the time, but we've been in this for so long. Why are we dependent on contractors with pavers? Why can't the government invest in its own paver? And why do our potholing guys have to be going through such strenuous labor when there are easier ways of getting it done that will cost us less in terms of time and money in the long run? And lo and behold, a paver is here. So the government of St. Lucia, the Ministry of Infrastructure's potholing road maintenance unit has a mini paver, which I expect or anticipate.
Is the paver the same thing as a pothole? I remember.
So it's a truck with you put in the same oil that they mix. You put it in there. You put in the asphalt and everything there, and it dumps it, spreads it for it, and you spread it.
Wow. Okay, great
so
stuff.
Finally, congratulations to the government of St. Lucia, Honorable King, Prime Minister Pierre, and all those involved in ensuring that we make our processes more efficient in certain government departments. So I'm happy to see and hear that.
Okay. Mr. Bowin Oje seems to be the patriarch of the family. Of the Oje family, because someone, and I'll say who it is, Chris Oje, an agriculturist, who is someone I communicate with, but I never made the connection either. He says Bowin is also the father of Macarian Oje,
both Macarian and Mahoney.
Recently retired principal of the Schwozel Secondary School. Retired agriculturist Chris Oje, you know, that's the same one, you know.
While I was at Beaufort Compre
Dania, well, I knew Dania. I knew Dania and
but
Homino.
Dania isn't Dania.
She's Dania Stevens now. She's married.
Yeah, I know. Sean's right, but isn't Dania Macarian's Mahoney's sister or daughter?
Yeah, well, sister. That's what it is.
Sister. I thought it was
I always knew that Dania and Homino were sisters. So if they are,
so it'll be his sister.
It's the same family.
Yeah, both Macarian and Mahoney taught at Beaufort Compre while I was there.
Okay. Well, folks, I didn't know that, so you know, more reason I have to really double down on wishing happy birthday to retired senior police officer Bowin Oje, a man who I think was generally highly respected and well liked by most people. I never heard anything about him in brutality or anything of that kind, but he did his work, it seems, with a seriousness and a strictness that you would expect of a policeman who earned all the regard that he has had both during his time of service and after that.
Yeah,
that's the real issues for today and for the week. Thank you so very much, Miguel.
Shelton,
once again,
thank you very much. And Anna Rose Animal and Janet Sinai is asked to give you a fist bump for her earlier, so there that is.
Will do. Now, you know, you have to take me to them, you know, and so that it can help to counter your sudden upsurge in interest.
Will I see you on Sunday, Shelton?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah, real issues.